Okay, hello. Today we're going to be talking about vectors. Okay. And this is section 6.7 in the Axler textbook, in your pre-calc textbook. Okay? So first thing is, what is a vector? A vector is any measurement that has magnitude and direction. Okay, and we usually define a vector, or we draw a vector using an arrow, and the magnitude is the length of the arrow, and the direction is the direction of the arrowhead. Okay, and we write vectors with a little arrow on top. So if I have vector u, I'm going to write it like this, but in your book they just have it in boldface. Okay, so let me give you an example. Okay. So I have here the axes, and let me call this 1, 2, 3, 4, and let me call this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I'm going to draw vector u like that. So this is vector u. So the length of vector u, it's this long, and it's going in this direction. We'll talk about length and direction later. Excuse me. Vector v is this long, so it's shorter than vector u, and it's going in another direction. Let me draw vector w. This is vector w. Alright, vector u has endpoint 3, 3. W has endpoint 4, 4. But we got to be a little bit careful here, okay? Because vector u has endpoint 3, 3. We can indicate an endpoint just by a vector just by its endpoint if it starts at the origin. See, u starts at the origin, so I can indicate vector u by the endpoint. But I really don't want to indicate vector w by the endpoint because w does not start at the origin. Okay, this starts at 0, 0. This one does not. Okay, so as long as a vector starts at the origin, if it starts at 0, 0, I can indicate it by its endpoint. Okay? Let's talk about polar coordinates. And vectors. Okay? So if you remember from last time, we talked about polar coordinates, okay, in class. So let me draw my axes here. And if I have a vector, okay, and I'm going to call this angle theta, and call this distance r, and this is for vector u. Okay? So vector u so the endpoint of vector u has polar coordinates of r and theta, where the magnitude of u, so we write magnitude in the absolute value sign, okay? Because remember, magnitude is a distance, so it's always going to be positive, okay? And we denote that with as r, so the magnitude is r, And the direction of u we give as theta, okay? And theta is the angle that the vector u makes with the positive horizontal axis. Okay. So I can write u. So if u has an endpoint of a comma b, where a is a number, b is a number, a is the x coordinate, b is the y coordinate, then r, which is the magnitude of u, is denoted as the square root of a squared plus b squared. If you remember, r was the square root of x squared plus y squared, so the same thing. And tangent of the angle theta is b over a, which means that theta is tangent inverse of b over a. Okay, and we always want to choose theta so that cosine theta has the same sign as a and sine theta has the same sign as b. Okay, so if this is my endpoint a comma b, okay, this is the length b and this is the length a. Okay. So cosine of theta will have the same sign as a, and sine theta will have the same sign as b. So if b is negative here, then sine theta will be negative. Okay, let's do an example. So vector u has endpoint 5, 3. Alright, and I want to find the magnitude and direction. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to draw 5, 3. So I'm going over 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going over 5 and up 3. Okay. So that is my vector u. Okay. Now I want to find the magnitude of u, which is the square root of a squared plus b squared. So a is 5, b is 3. So it's the square root of 5 squared plus 3 squared, which is square root of 25 plus 9, which is what, 34? So that is root 25 plus 9, 34, which is roughly 5.83. So this vector is 5.83 units long, and the direction theta is tangent inverse of b over a. Okay, so when you plug this into your calculator, you get roughly 31 degrees or 0.54 radians. Okay, so that angle is 31 degrees or 0.54 radians, and the length or the magnitude of this is 5.83.